What's up? What's going on, everyone? This is the All We Do Is Talk podcast. My name's Eric. I'm here with Moody and Isaiah. We're here to talk about the teams that their season wrapped up this past week, and we will go in the draft order that they have locked themselves into.
Not my team.
As Joe Judge would say, they got the golf clubs out front of their lockers. Going on vacation, got the black bags, cleaning it out.
Going fishing.
Sucks because me and Eric's team are gonna pop up relatively soon on this, but it is what it is. I guess we got to start in Duval, where they had an interesting season. Moody said, "Watch out for them."
I'll go ahead and start here. I'll take my L on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I believed in Urban Meyer, and that's on me. It is shocking how bad he flamed out. He flamed out worse than John Gruden. This is the biggest flame out in
he
coaching.
Didn't go first. He didn't leave first, though.
He didn't leave first, but he flamed out harder. John Gruden got for something that happened 10 years ago. This is the most tragic flame out in NFL history in terms of like a coach. He made it 10 games. It's unbelievable. He was out here fingering girls at his bar in Ohio while his team couldn't win a damn game to save its life. He made Trevor Lawrence look worse than Davis Mills. I don't know what more you can say about the disaster job that happened in Jacksonville this year. They're one of the more as they were the 1-15 team last year, and they won more games, and you feel like they underperformed. That's how bad this looked. They deserve to be picked number one overall. I don't think they should pick that spot because I think there's going to be somebody hungry for something to go for them to trade up. That they have a lot of needs on both sides of the ball. But yeah, that was probably my biggest miss of the year is how bad Jacksonville ended up being.
It's that simple. They're picking number one overall 2 years in a row. If you're doing that, you're doing something absolutely wrong. Hopefully, like Cleveland, picking that high so many times, you'll at least get 3 transcendent players that can carry you with talent. And maybe you can convince a coach to come there. So that's actually going next. Moody was first to it, but I think the best candidate for this job, I'm gonna let Moody go ahead and take that away.
Oh, okay. We're gonna do coaches when we do the teams.
Yeah.
All right. Obviously, yeah. Like, as I said, Byron Leftwich just seems like the perfect fit for the Jacksonville Jaguars. OC for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Probably going to get a little bit of delay on that hiring until the Bucks are finished with their season, which could go all the way to the Super Bowl because no one Tom Brady. But yeah, Byron Leftwich just seems like the perfect offensive coach, former quarterback coach who can help Trevor Lawrence move into the next phase of his career.
Yeah, all I gotta say about that is if they do that, that'd be the best coaching hire in my opinion. So I might be cursing it, but in my opinion, Byron Leftwich is the best candidate for a head coaching job, and I guarantee he'll get one. He's played quarterback in Jacksonville. He's been under the tutelage of Bruce Arians, who's coached the Peyton Mannings, the Andrew Lucks, the Tom Brady's, the Ben Roethlisberger's. And then, luckily for him, he got to coach Tom Brady, who was coached up by the greatest coach of all time for 22 years. So he's got the knowledge and experience that he has and how good his offense is naturally even before Tom Brady showed up. He's worked with Jameis Winston. He's worked with a young quarterback before. I think this is a slam dunk. Whoever gets Byron Leftwich would be lucky. I wish he would come be the coach in New York. I just don't think things will break that way for us. We'll get there when we get there. But
he don't even have to leave Florida. It just seems so easy.
It's just so easy. It's just a match made in heaven. Eric, anything else to say about Jacksonville?
I definitely think they need to bring an offensive guy in as a head coach to help develop and grow Trevor Lawrence. So I think if they do that, and
we'll see if he gets a job.
Sorry about that. But I think if they do that, and I don't know where they should go with the first overall pick, I would almost be tempted to go offensive line. Yeah, because I think because this is a deep tackle class, so if you have someone that wants to go get someone in particular, I think this is the year to do it. Because I don't really believe in Aiden Hutchinson on the next level. But all right, let's move to number 2. The wagon has stopped for the 2021 season. The Detroit Lions.
For someone who covered the spread so much, they're still picking 2. They're still
the best
bad team
13-loss season you ever witnessed. They were celebrating a lot this year.
That's why you see Dan Campbell gets to stay. Of the coaches, there's going to be a few coaches few people in the top 10 that's going to have coaching candidacies. He's not having one. He looks like he's pretty secure in his job. I really can't name more than 5 players on either side of the ball for that team. Like that
actually can. Jared Goff. They got Penei Sewell, they got Taylor Decker, they got Frank right now, they got Amon St. Brown.
Yeah,
they got
decent players on the offense. I'm just really talking about the defense.
I don't know
Trey Flowers.
I don't know who's on that side.
John Davis. I don't even know who's playing, but that's who was keeping them in the games. It wasn't their offense scoring points. The defense was keeping them in the games. So that's the amazing part for them. Dan Campbell, if your team had even gotten to like 6 wins, I think you could have won Coach of the Year, because that's how much they fought for him. They competed for him. People was laughing at the kneecaps, but they bit him every chance they had.
Yeah, I mean, as for Detroit for this pick, I'm sure that Aiden Hutchinson is the targeted player because he's a Michigan man and Detroit's a Michigan team and they need a pass rush. In my opinion, he's the best player in the draft. I'm not done to confirm that. He had a bad end to the season. But we'll see what they do about that. Otherwise, stay the course. They got lots of money. They got the Rams pick. Stay the course. They seem like they're – I don't know if Dan Quinn's a great coach, but he's the best buffer coach you've ever seen. Dan Campbell, I don't know if he's a great coach, but he's the best buffer coach we'll probably ever see in this lifetime. So
Detroit they got to start drafting well.
And
now that's really what they have to start.
I will say they might think about the quarterback too. I could see them, if they fall in love with a quarterback, absolutely. I could see them taking one as well. Kenny Pickett might be a good guy to put on ice. He's a little older though, so I would be scared about that option. Eric, anything else to say about Detroit?
No, I mean, a great year. I would honestly hold off on the quarterback. I think there's, especially for this year, there's players that you can get at the 2 that will help their team way more than taking a chance on a quarterback this year. So I think they could get one of an edge or offensive line to help, or even a weapon. So
they should be holding out for Bryce Young in 2023. That's what I think they should be doing.
Yeah. So I mean, wide receiver and edge, other than quarterback, are probably their biggest needs. So yeah. But thank you for a great year, Detroit. Appreciate you. That was amazing to watch.
Definitely helped a lot of people make money. But yeah, next is Houston, which is interesting.
Yeah, Houston's very interesting. First of all, fuck Houston for firing David Culley. He didn't deserve that. But we know what Houston is. They still have the biggest elephant in the room of any team in the NFL. As we know, Deshaun Watson. Looks like he's probably finally following Brian Flores. I think that seems to be the latest rumor right now. He still has 22 sexual assault cases that have to be dealt with. We'll see how that happens when it happens. But overall for Houston, I think outside of a couple of bad beatdowns they took, they were pretty much like Detroit. They fought when they needed to fight. They had a lot of veterans on that team, a lot of low-paid veterans on that team, giving them as much fight as they possibly could. Lovie Smith found his way back in the league, and I thought he had a good year for them at D coordinator. Still addicted to the cover 2, but I thought it
worked better this year.
It works when you don't have a lot of talent. It helps raises the talent, the floor of your talent, because they can just play fast and play simple. So I give Lovie Smith a lot of credit for that. But Houston, they're just they got a long way to go. They got cap space. They have a Deshaun Watson contract, a Deshaun Watson player that can lead to a bunch of assets for them to add to their roster. You like Laramie Tunsil. Davis Mills was arguably the second best rookie quarterback of the year in terms of the way he was able to play. And I think off of circumstances, he could be considered the best. So they didn't burn a 3rd round pick like a lot of people said they did. So they got a shot here. Houston got a shot to turn this around, not relatively quickly, but from what they've gone through, they aren't in the worst possible position.
Yeah, I think ideally, I'll just say, if they got Brian Flores and convinced Deshaun Watson to stay,
I think that honestly, that's my prediction right now.
That would be the best scenario. But this coaching hire is going to be the biggest decision. There's rumors that it's going to be a Patriots guy, and I have trust issues with that, and everybody should.
Well, Brian Flores is
his record. He's a Patriots guy that's actually never been to the playoffs.
Fair. I mean, he the closest to being in the playoffs without getting in there. But
if 2 times over,
if Brian Flores can get Houston to keep Deshaun Watson, that's the
parent right there. That's why I would say if he could get Deshaun Watson back in the field, then it changes everything. Now you could say that, hey, we can build a contender because we have the quarterback, and with the left tackle, we just got to add some receivers and get the defense going. And I believe in Brian Flores' ability to do that. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the wise match made. I think Brian Flores is going to need an established quarterback, and that's why he's probably paired with Deshaun Watson wherever he goes.
Yeah, I think their offseason is going to be sit and wait and see what happens with Deshaun, because, I mean, that dictates what moves you make. So, I mean, if they get Deshaun here, they can go a completely different route at the 3rd overall pick. Davis Mills also showed something. So if you trade Deshaun because you think Davis Mills is good enough for now, so you can get whatever that package is going to look like.
Or you manage to turn Davis Mills into a trade asset if you get to keep Deshaun Watson.
They got 2 quarterbacks that might be good.
Yeah. So it's really just wait and see for the Texans. I mean, you literally don't know what you're doing until that goes through its legal course.
Wow.
All right, let's keep moving on to the Jets. Finish 4-13, and they'll have the 4th overall pick.
The Jets are just snake bit, honestly. Like, as we saw, they lost their 2 best defenders pretty much right away on defense with Carl Lawson, CJ Mosley both got hurt pretty much right away. Offensively, they lost Mekhi Becton in week 1. He never came back. And that basically wrote the writing on the wall for Zach Wilson and how his season was going to go. He was getting absolutely abused and manhandled in the backfield. The Jets took way too long to use Michael Carter. We'll see how Robert Saleh looks. The Jets they're another team where they're picking in the top 5. They have a bunch of holes. They're probably a team that would prefer to trade back. Unfortunately for them, it ain't a quarterback class, so they're probably going to have to stand in there and take another offensive lineman, I think, to help out.
They drafted 3. They've got 3,
and it's still not good.
I mean, they're not
the
playing.
Only good one.
So he's not playing. Elijah Vera Tucker was good for them at guard.
He was all right for them.
Moses was good for them, so they could use another tackle.
I think they could use another tackle. I think they should be. You should be building your team to how to help your quarterback, especially with one that's raw as Zach Wilson, and you have a defensive coach, so you should probably be moving some of those assets to the offensive end while Saleh can hopefully handle that.
Like Moody said, the Jets are the Jets. We know of the 2 teams that have had the worst record in the league for the last 10 years. We're going to talk about them back to back. They reside in the same city. Both, luckily, I think, are going to turn it around this year with this draft. Both have 2 top 10 picks. The Jets, I believe, are going to take a secondary player here. I don't know if it's Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame or Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU, but I just think their defense is so bad. So bad. They need an impact player on it. And I just think this is the opportunity, the ability that Hamilton brings to their team. I like that a lot. But I think they just got to build around Zach Wilson, get some more weapons for him on offense. And you could sign that or get that in the 2nd round. But that's all I really got for the Jets. We'll see. They lucked up. It actually went bad that Seattle decided to finish the season a little strong, make that 2nd pick a little worse. But they got 2 top 10 picks. They might not get Hamilton and Stingley like they could have, but they'll at least get one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think they really wanted both of those guys to solidify. I think they'll go Derek Stingley just because quarterback over safety. But yeah, the Jets, I mean, Zach Wilson, I think, showed flashes that he could be something in the league. So that's something to build on, more weapons. I mean, I think the outside is what they're missing. What weapons, corners, that's where they're missing.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving. Isaiah, y'all have the 5th overall pick. Enlighten us on your season, man.
Another coach of it. This is the 3rd coach we're going to talk about in the top 5 that has gotten axed.
Yeah, recently,
this week. Could have been safe, but Joe Judge, he went. I mean, I'm not to say that he couldn't. I believe every coach deserves 3 years min, but unfortunately, if you start wilding out and your team starts putting on bad performances and you pick a fight with the media in New York. We saw the stat that he's the next coach of the Giants going to be the 50th new coach since 2007 in New York. So they eat up coaches there. So it just looked like he wasn't built for the moment, which, people said he was young. I would argue that if the organization was going to get behind a young guy, they should have known what they're getting into. And that's what my biggest takeaway is. They probably don't know what they're doing. But luckily for the team, they're in New York and they have 2 first-round picks. So, and their willingness to spend money. So that they might get bailed out of their inability to know what they're doing. We all know that they have questions everywhere on the offense. The offense is just broken in general. So I believe this pick will be an offensive lineman. But we'll see with the new GM. He might want to go get a quarterback. I wouldn't trade for a quarterback because I don't think the team is that good. I would keep building. But coach, shot in GM, I don't know. Well, out in the dark on anyone. I would go with Daniel Jeremiah for the GM because I believe he's the best football knowledge guy not in the business. So I know what his opinions are. And we know he has connections to the Andy Reid back in Philly and Baltimore. So everybody, those are going to be the guys, the organizations that I want to pick from: Kansas City, Baltimore, Philly, teams that have been good consistently for the last couple decades. But they went out and interviewed a Bills guy and an Arizona guy. We'll see where they go from there. As for coaching, I just think the coach has to be an offensive coach. Giants haven't been good on offense in 10 years, which is incredible to believe. But we'll see I will let the GM and the coach decide how they want to use Saquon and Daniel. They're paid, so I would just have them as placeholders, and maybe they break out and you get something out of them. But good luck.
Yeah, obviously not the season the Giants thought they were going to have. Injuries getting involved there. They're going to have to question what's going on with Daniel Jones. I never thought Joe Judge was the guy. They went with a special teams guy from New England. He never really seemed like the leader of men that he needed to be able to take that team, to get that team another step. They have talent. They've got talent on both sides of the ball. But it's just someone's got to bring it together, especially on the offensive end, to have a first-round pick and like $150 million invest at the receiver position to get no touchdowns out of it.
Darius Slay scored that last.
He's not a part of the. He ain't the Sterling Shepard, Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney people I was talking about.
He's the fourth option.
He's the fourth option. So that's pretty unacceptable. They tried to scapegoat Jason Garrett, but they clearly saw even Freddie Kitchens stepping in there. There was just nothing that could have saved that offense this year.
When he got in there,
especially with the quarterback play as well. For the Giants, I think this has to be either an offensive lineman or an edge guy for their top pick. If Hutchinson or Thibodeau were to fall to them, they could pair him with Aziz. I think that'd be really, really nice for them because I think they're pretty solid in the secondary. Or they got to help Andrew Thomas on the offensive line because he's really their only good offensive lineman. For the head coaching candidacy, I went with Brian Daboll because I think Daniel Jones can be a poor man's Josh Allen the way he plays. He's got similar body type. He likes to run around. He's probably a better athlete than like consistent pocket quarterback at this point. And they've got solid enough weapons for him to move around and try to make some plays happen. So I like Brian Daboll at this spot. I think he knows how to use this kind of big, lumbering, running around quarterback. And they've got good enough weapons on offense to try to make something happen there. So I'll go with Brian Daboll. Plus, he wouldn't have to leave the state of New York.
Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Giants could go a bevy of ways in the draft. I think they should go offensive line as well, but I hope they don't for the pick after. But yeah, I mean, y'all could go a bevy of ways this offseason. Is Kenny Galladay considered the worst signing of last year's free agency?
I mean, Carl also didn't even play, but there were a few people who just weren't productive.
They were just bad signings.
Yeah.
Like Allen Robinson had a worse season somehow on the. It doesn't work now. Sometimes it just unfortunately for receiver, it's a dependent position. So if the O line's trash and the quarterback play becomes the worst in the league, I don't expect to score many touchdowns with anybody, and that's why no one did.
Yeah,
it's just no one. No one did.
Anything else, or are we moving on to the next spot, which is conveniently
the Carolina Panthers.
Eric predicted. I did predict the Giants would go to the playoffs, so I got to eat that. But Eric did predict that Carolina would also go to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, but we had hope.
None of us picked the other teams in this podcast to make the playoffs. So, like, clearly there was some bias going on there. One of them felt more outlandish than the other two, but we'll leave that alone.
But yeah, I mean, injuries like to Christian McCaffrey stuttered the offense. When he was healthy at the beginning of the year, we were winning games, and he'd been nicked all year, and we lost a bunch at the end. And I knew at the beginning of the year, the beginning of the schedule was much, much easier than the second half. And that second half whooped our ass this year. In the draft, I would want to go offensive line. I don't think this is the quarterback group to really use a top 10 pick last year. Yeah. So, I'd probably go one of the tackles because that needs to be addressed. And QB, I don't know what they can do, but I think they've already picked up Sam Darnold's fifth-year option. So, yeah.
Yeah, for the Panthers, honestly, I think they have more talent than the team that should be picking 6 overall. Obviously, their first-round pick getting knocked out for the season in Week 4 is disappointing. But this is always the end game for them, relying on Sam Darnold and Cam Newton. Like, you never expected them to be that good with those options at quarterback, even though I think that, especially with a bad offensive line, if you have that combination, you can't win more than 5-6 games, to be honest with you. Love the talent that they have around them. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrence Marshall, Christian McCaffrey. I like the tight end y'all got from Notre Dame. Y'all moved out to to get him in. I think he's an excellent blocker, athleticism upside. But the key is their defense. That's going to be the key to the Panthers. That's where they've invested all of their draft picks into. I like Phil Snow a lot. I'm surprised that Phil Snow hasn't gotten a lot of buzz as a head coach. I think he calls a really, really good defense. And despite what the Panthers ran through, their defense was still one of the better defenses in the league throughout the year. They got to go offensive line. Hopefully they don't think another tackle is a guard this year, and they actually take the offensive lineman that they need to take to help them out, because their quarterback needs help desperately. Really don't think they really have to do much on defense, but if like a Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean or so, if they get got and they need to take a linebacker, maybe I think I can see them doing that. They could use a do-it-all type of guy in the middle of their defense. Shaq Thompson's getting old, obviously, but for the Panthers, I think they're closer than a lot of other teams in the top 10. I really, really love their defensive young talent, and they've got skill positions on the offensive end. But the two hardest things to find is OL and quarterback, and that's what they're missing.
Yeah, at the pick, it's got to be O-line, because like the Giants O-line, this might be one of the more poor, bottom 5 offensive line in the league. If they fall in love with a quarterback, I think Matt Carroll would fit Joe Brady's system.
Joe Brady's not there no more. So
he's gone, but they're doing. Kenny Pickett and Matt Carroll could be options. I could see them fitting there in Carolina, that type of city. They might take a quarterback. They might be forced. Their hand might be forced. As for Matt Rule, I mean, like I said, I believe all coaches need at least 3 years. Now he's recently, the things that he's done in firing, like Joe Judge, in firing other coaches and saying things that are questionable. I mean, makes you wonder if this is just going to be a waste of a 3rd year, but we'll see. A lot of people were hiring him, and he was one of the highest paid new coaches of this generation. So there's a lot of money invested there. So we'll see. I think if they like a quarterback, they got to take him. And my reasoning for that is if they want to take Pickett, luckily, I think his value, he will be the best quarterback in the draft as of right now. And he is ready-made. I think he's more seasoned. He being a 5-year, 6-year player. Mm-hmm. He was there for a while. But if they want to go with Ritter for the excuse of we got to develop this guy, and maybe
please don't go Ritter.
Coaches like Ritter would be my other guy, but I mean, I don't know if they have the right people to develop him there. So, which is the scary thing, which is always what you wonder about. But I think they need to go with the best tackle available, and this is a good tackle draft. If Evan Neal was to fall to them, it would be
they'd run to the podium. Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going to pick 7, where the Giants have it, but it was the Chicago Bears. So let's talk about the Bears.
Yeah, for the Bears, I love obviously the Justin Fields pick, but that's about the only good thing Chicago did in the entire 2021 season. Obviously, they shouldn't have kept Matt Nagy on that extra year. It never made any sense. They did it anyway. He tried to make people think
that they went to the playoffs last year.
And I still think they should have moved on. and I still think they should have moved. He's an offensive coach, and they didn't make the playoffs because of their offense. I never really liked Matt Nagy that much, and I think he did his best to try to ruin Justin Fields. Hopefully, Justin Fields is able to get through that painful coaching experience that he had to go through. But for the Bears, they're a team that they went all in a couple of years ago to try to make their run. It didn't hit. Now they're kind of in a rebuilding mode. They found a quarterback, maybe, so they had to give up a 1st-round pick for it. That's going to happen. But I like Justin Fields a lot. Tevin Jenkins, they really didn't get to use on the offensive line. They got to rebuild the offensive line, and they got to add another weapon for Justin Fields on the offensive end because, man, Allen Robinson, that was just a rough season. He looked better with Darnell Mooney. It's insane that he just couldn't get the ball to Allen Robinson. They need to find some other weapons for him on offense. Defensively, Khalil Mack's getting old. Eddie Jackson's not the same guy. They got a lot of needs all over that team. So not having a 1st-round pick is tough. They're going to have to do well in free agency. They got a rookie quarterback contract now. So they're going to have to find other ways to build that roster. For their coach prediction, I saw that he's getting interviewed there. I think it's an easy fit. I like Doug Peterson there a lot. He took the year off. Obviously, his boy Nick Foles is there to be a solid backup and help Justin Fields learn everything he needs to learn about what Doug Peterson wants to do. I think Doug Peterson personally is a good coach, despite what other people say. I think he's good. I think he's especially good with helping develop young quarterbacks. So I think that would be a big boost for Justin Fields, and I think he'll be able to bring maybe some people from Philly or some other place. I think he'll be able to bring in some guys with him as well. So I'll go with Doug Peterson for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, so they need a new GM, and there was a lot of people saying that there's a popular guy in Philly, in the Philly organization that people want. So maybe that's what they're going with. I like Doug Peterson as well. I think that's a good prediction. I'm not a fan of. Doug Peterson, in my opinion, is a good coach in the vein of a Mike McCarthy and Mike Tomlin, as in they've won a lot, but we don't know if they're really how much they're contributing. But at least we know that Doug Peterson is an offensive mind. Philly had some good seasons. He knows how to build a good offensive line, knows how to run a good offense. Another Andy Reid guy, so that might be a tough sell to Chicago media. But I wouldn't sleep on Jim Harbaugh here, a former Chicago Bears player, a guy that's been there, done that, a coach that I think is better. I think the best available head coaching candidate I said was Brian Leftwich, but that's technically because he's a coordinator. But if I had to rank him, I would say Jim Harbaugh. I don't think he's available, really. I don't think he's going to leave Michigan, but I think he's the best candidate. But if they open up their bank accounts, but we know that Chicago is known to be a cheaper organization in their ownership. But we'll see how that goes. But they need a coach that knows what he's doing. I don't think they can really take a chance with a new guy this time, and that's what we tend to see teams do. Sucks that they don't have a first round pick this year, which I think will be hard, which will make it increasingly harder to get a good GM. But they have a quarterback, so if you can find someone who likes Justin Fields, and I don't think they're too far away because they'll have a quarterback on a rookie contract, and that makes for easier spending in free agency. Eric?
Yeah. I mean, it sucks that they don't have their first round pick. I mean, that's definitely gonna keep GMs away. But
that's why they have Justin Fields. So that's got to go hand in hand. If they didn't have Justin Fields, nobody would want to be there anyway. So
I think the GM would like the first round pick better because these GMs like to come in and make their own people.
So you'd like to have Andy Dalton and a first round pick than Justin Fields?
If I'm a new GM, yes, because those guys are going to come in and always want their guys. That's usually what happens. So yeah, I think that could be a problem. But I think Justin Fields is a good prospect. So actually, I would take the risk with Justin Fields over the first round pick, but man, that first round pick would be enticing. It's gonna be it'd be your first round pick of your whole of your regime, like when McDermott took the cornerback in Buffalo.
True, right?
Like I think they just need to focus on offense, like try to address the offensive line best as possible and get more weapons for him. If Allen Robinson had another person, I'm sure that he would be not doubled or bracketed multiple times, but. Yeah, I think they just need to address the offense. I think their defense is good enough to where they could. I think they just need to focus on the offense.
Now, my last question for them is: are you trading Khalil Mack and Eddie Jackson?
We'll see, but I don't know how much value Eddie has at this point. But yeah, if someone came calling for Khalil Mack, I'd listen. I think they're not going to win a Super Bowl next year or in the next couple of years probably unless they have some massive free agency spending. So if someone wants to, if you can get more assets for Khalil Mack, I think you should be on the phone definitely.
All right, let's keep moving to the pick 8, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to Arthur Smith. He really allowed Atlanta to have a better season than I was expecting. I still think the Kyle Pitts pick was a big mistake for them, but because now they're in another year where they're probably going to have to rely on Matt Ryan for another year because they don't have anybody in place to help take that team to the future. Kyle Pitts is fine, Arthur Smith is fine, but they invented Cordell Patterson and turned him into something. So
is that the highlight of their season?
Yeah, because obviously Calvin really just dipped out on him, and apparently he ain't coming back. So Atlanta's they got some transition going on, but hey, AJ Terrell looks like a good player. They're really good. They're solid linebacker. They might be ready to blow that up though. We'll see. But for Atlanta, I just think they just got if you went with Kyle Pitts, I think you just need to stay the course, and they just need to keep. Maybe another team they could trade back because 8 feels like a more comfortable spot for a quarterback. So maybe they're more interested in trading back and accumulating more assets, getting more talented players in there. Because if you go with Matt Ryan, then you might as well try to put a decent enough team around him to see if he can give you a chance at something.
I think you're seeing it the wrong way. I think they're going with Matt Ryan to be their bridge. I think Atlanta has to take a quarterback no matter what. Carroll will fit, Peckett will fit, Ritter will fit, athletic, mobile, big arm quarterbacks that makes plays. We know what Ryan Tannehill looks like in that offense. I don't think it's an option. You got Matt Ryan for one more year, put him to work, and you teach your next franchise quarterback. You help coach him up with Matt Ryan. I don't think it's really an option. They got to take a quarterback. And I don't know what their cap situation is wise to talk about free agent.
They don't have it.
Yeah, that's what they don't have cap. The reason that Julio Jones not there no more. Trade Calvin Ridley.
trade cap for the Brady Jarrett too. They should be offloading all those big contracts, honestly.
I don't think they need to get a quarterback. I think they have enough holes on the defense to where they have to address it. And their O-line is not a very good one either. So I think there's other ways they can improve the team better than using a top 10 pick on another quarterback. All right, let's keep it moving to pick 9, the Denver Broncos.
The Denver Broncos probably this about. I think I had them at 7-10 in my preseason predictions, so they finished pretty much where I expected them to. Obviously, the big bugaboo for them is the quarterback position. They're relying on Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. They're the other team along with the Panthers that probably had a really good roster around, and they really just needed to plug in a quarterback, and they decided to go with a bridge guy. And this is what happens. You're back in the top 10 again. I love Denver's roster, and Denver has a fantastic home field advantage. Patrick Surtain wasn't a bad pick, obviously. He made Isaiah's All-Pro team. He was a terrific player, but they just have so many needs on the on OL and the quarterback position. That's just another thing where if you aren't good at either of those two spots, your team's not going to be good no matter what you have around it. Excellent in the run game. Excellent.
OL's not that bad. Good tackle play.
I like Colton Miller. I think their interior play. I think they're a little weaker in pass protection. I think they're really good in run blocking, but if you can't protect the quarterback, you can't really do anything. For their head coach, this seems to be a done deal as far as I'm concerned, but we'll see how it goes. Anything can change. I think it's going to be Dan Quinn from the Dallas Cowboys. I don't really understand it. Honestly, it wouldn't be my first choice for them. I think they need an offensive guy to help build that side because I think their defense is pretty solid. But they like that. Apparently, they like Dan Quinn a lot. He knows what he's doing. He's a veteran. And Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson is coming in a package deal. Dan Quinn has shown that he can get a team to the Super Bowl. So I think Dan Quinn will probably be their guy here. They're going to have a top 10 pick where they can use on to help either side of the ball. They could really go a couple of different ways because I don't think they're drafting a quarterback. I think they're going to try to go get a veteran and try to go win now. So that's my so I like Dan Quinn for them, a veteran guy to try to help them make another push in a very, very tough division.
Like I originally thought this is the best opening until you look at the circumstances. They don't have a quarterback, so they probably have to trade for one. I'm not going there to coach there if I'm a coach unless they're trading for one of the Deshaun, Rodgers, or Russell. 2, that division has probably the 2 most talented quarterbacks in the league. So you're signing up, and Derek Carr went to playoff with his. So you're signing up to fight in the toughest division probably in the AFC, which is a tougher conference. So it's going to be that's a tough sell. It's going to be harder to get to the Super Bowl because you're going to have to go through Kansas City. Justin Herbert, if he keeps getting better, and or Derek Carr, if Vegas ever gets there, they might win the Super Bowl this year. So tough circumstances, but the roster is amazing. I think the defense is elite. I think the run game is elite. I think the O-line's better than is above average. So
they're even an excellent receiver and tight end.
So if they get Dan Quinn and Aaron Rodgers, yeah, sign me up. If you're telling me I'm showing up with the chance to maybe get one of those quarterbacks and you end up with Kenny Pickett, well, that's all. It's going to come down to what they do with the quarterback, basically, for me.
Eric? Yeah, I think they're ready everywhere else. I think they have the good enough weapons. I think they're maybe a piece away on defense, and it's quarterback. I think they'll be in for a veteran as well. But if they can't get in, I think they have to take quarterback. You can't go another year with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater as your quarterbacks.
John Elway's already had to give up his job.
And the other problem, they're being sold. The team's being sold. So now there's ownership turmoil. So you might be hired by the group that's selling, and then when the new owner comes in, he tosses you away in a couple of years if you don't win. So that's what best roster, worst situation.
You're very fair, very fair.
All right, so that will do it for this episode. We'll be back again for the rest of the draft picks and those teams that didn't quite make the cut for the playoffs. But for right now, that'll wrap it up.
Enjoy the playoffs.
Yeah.
Sure.